The Blu-ray for My Hero Academia, the movie You're Next, just came out. An animator and supervisor now, Yutaka Nakamura, probably the best animator in the entire world, gave us the most unimaginable 1-minute pure Sakuga insanity I think I have ever seen. Now, Nakamura is not unique to this. He does almost all of the highlight reels that go viral. In my opinion, he is the best animator in the world, and this cut just solidifies it. If you guys didn't know, by the way, Nakamura also worked on One Punch Man. He did one of the best Boros scenes. But there is one other animator who is making huge waves in the animation industry and is working on a lot of other top-tier anime like One Piece and Castlevania and Jujutsu Kaisen, and his name is Vincent Chansard. These two animators are literally changing the dynamic of anime animation. They're not the only ones, there are a lot of other notable names, but these two guys in general are the ones creating new techniques, new 2D animation styles that nobody ever thought of before. While everybody else is copying, Yutaka Nakamura and Vincent Chansard are innovating. And so that's why, in my opinion, they're the two best animators in the world, because whenever they do a crazy scene like this, all the animators pay attention and they all start trying to replicate it. In between the two of these guys, Yutaka Nakamura and Vincent Chansard, animation in general in just the last few years has exploded in quality. The benchmarks that these guys are setting for animation is now so unimaginably high. They have essentially changed the entire landscape for anime, and now basically everybody expects this level of animation to be going into every one of their favorite shows. So what I want to talk about today primarily is what goes into making these unimaginably beautiful, unimaginable levels of animation in these scenes that go crazy viral, because so much work goes into it, more so than you would possibly imagine, and I want to show you a little bit today of how and why. So I've slowed this video down to 10% just so you can simply see all of the animation. One of the things that these guys do is they put everything on ones. What that means is they're drawing 24 pictures per second. Standard animation is on 2s, which means 12 pictures per second. But typically in these crazy Sakuga highlight reel scenes, they're drawing a picture 1/24 of a second. And that's what creates that mesmerizing fluidity in the animation. One of the other crazy things they do here is they animate the landscapes in 2D. Now, they combine this with animation of the landscapes in 3D, which I thought was a huge mistake, because the 2D landscapes fit the character. You usually have like 2 to 3 gradients of shading, just like the character, and it just makes the character blend in very well. When you turn that to 3D, it's really jarring, in my opinion, but it's actually miraculously beautiful when they animate the ground in 2D and have the camera rotate around it. It requires like a geometrical genius. It is unimaginably difficult to make it look proportional and good. And what these guys do, the regular person, I don't think they understand the complexities, the amount of drawings, the amount of math, geometry that goes into this is actually incredible. One of the other crazy things that they're doing, like this scene of Todoroki, which really catches your eye. It's very quick, and I came in here and slowed it down, and I was like, why is this animation just pop so hard? Well, I'll tell you why. It kind of even looks like the character is static in full 100% speed, but he's not. If you take a look at the shading on his fingers and everything, he's just slightly changing. They're redrawing him 24 times a second to give it that like super speed feel, and it works. It slaps. One of the other amazing things that these guys do is they're a master of weight. So being a good animator, you have to learn weight. Usually a character's coming in slow, and then the last few frames they fly in really fast, and it gives this feeling of like super speed and power, and the weight of your animation is definitely proportionate to your skill. And Yutaka Nakamura, he is the highest level of skill. I want to show you the weight behind this kick from Deku and all of the animations that lead into the power of this kick to give it unfathomable levels of weight. One of the things he does is he kind of holds the character back as they're powering up, and then there will be this very swift movement where he pushes all that power all the way through, like this shot. Man, it's just so beautiful. And then you have like a delayed explosion that's also kind of some weight. It's kind of like a delay. And what Nakamura does is he's like the best, he's the GOAT at making characters look like they're moving faster than light. His impact frames have to catch up to the character. It's unimaginable. Like, this guy is an actual genius. He's revolutionary with things like that, and other animators see it, they're blown away, and they replicate it. And so over the past few years, because of these two guys, we started to get more and more of these kinds of animations, and they're so vastly different than any of the animation we got 10 years ago. We've come an extremely long way since the days of the big three. The technology to create this animation really hasn't gotten that much better. Yeah, you have some digital software, but most animators in Japan still prefer to do all of their animations on pencil and paper. And so even though the technology has gotten a little bit better, the methods, the amount of workers you need really hasn't changed that much. It's just that we have some insanely high level like masters of animation who are experimenting and creating new things, and all of the other animators are paying attention and adapting their styles to meet this new standard. And that's the whole point of this video. These two guys pretty much alone have created a new standard for animation in anime, and this standard is so high that it's just like, if you don't have these guys on your team, it's very hard to replicate this level of quality. You guys know the second the character shows up with 3 to 4 gradients of shading, looks all raw, you know that this is the animator highlight scene. They're pulling in the big guns for this finale or this super fight episode. Sorry, I keep showing Castlevania, but I don't believe that was Vincent. It is another guy named Samuel Dietz, who is also very incredible. But Vincent Chansar did work on some of the earlier seasons of Castlevania, and his cuts are ridiculous. So let's switch over to One Piece real quick, because this is the show that Vincent has been working on primarily, and he's been making huge waves in the animation industry here. And one of the things you'll notice from his animation style is that his characters never stop moving, like ever. Like, even when they're standing still talking, they're still moving non-stop. And essentially what that means is you're just redrawing the character over and over, like thousands and thousands of times, to give it this kind of like fluidity, different animation feel. You know, normally in anime, when characters are talking, it's just a still frame. Character stands there, the mouth moves, and that's it. But Vincent's like, nah, I'm gonna have the whole character move all the time. And it is very jarring coming from like the rest of the episode where characters are standing still talking, and then they turn on the top animator and he just goes crazy. But I don't think fans really mind that much. Like, we love these crazy highlight reel scenes, and it's just that the expectations are getting too high and too out of control, because the more you introduce anime of this quality to the general public, the more the general public is going to expect animation to always be this quality, because they just simply don't understand the amount of extra work and talent that goes into making this animation superior to everything else. It's just unfathomably more work and talent. And so ultimately, unfortunately, the repercussion, at least in the animation industry, is more ignorance, like more hating on different anime because their animation isn't up to par with these benchmarks. And unfortunately, it's very, very hard to replicate this. I mean, these guys are some of the best in the very world, and they dedicate their life to this. Even other animators who have been animating for 20, 30 years, they still probably can't replicate this level of skill. But the new WebGen animators will try, and there is a lot of WebGen animators. Fans who grew up watching anime dream to be an animator and work digitally, posting their digital animations, usually on Twitter or forums, and a lot of times they get good enough to get picked up by studios. I've been fortunate to work with a bunch of these guys. They helped me on Demon Rush, and now they're working on shows like Boruto and Attack on Titan. So it's my personal belief that animation, as well as many of the industries in the world right now, are bottlenecking. Basically, they've grown and grown and grown, and now they've reached the point where they're pretty much the highest level of quality they can possibly possibly be without some sort of new technology coming out. And the expectation is for everybody to be this super high level of quality. It just makes the barrier to entry nearly impossible. And it shouldn't be for animation. It's just that there's this unfortunate reality of animation that people are so critical of it. It's like one of the most difficult, strenuous, talent-focused jobs in the entire world where you get paid literally nothing, and everyone and their mom criticizes it. In my opinion, people have just become too entitled, and I'm worried that that could like literally just shatter the animation industry. If these animators work so hard to put in all this extra work to do like double, triple the frames just to make the audience happy, and they still complain, it makes people like, why am I even trying so hard? Like, you know, and that is a major concern of mine because animators do burn out and they do die from overwork. So the general idea is what these guys are doing is beautiful, phenomenal, and it should be celebrated, but I think we should celebrate all animators too, and not be so critical over everything. But sometimes it's hard. You see animation of this caliber, and you're just like, why can't all anime be like this? Well, not all anime have these guys working on it. It's just that simple. If you guys enjoyed the video, leave a thumbs up. Let me know some more amazing animators in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys soon for another video.